Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me today. My name is Tom Cornell. I'm the assessment lead for APAC region at HireVue. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about who HireVue is, what it is we do, and the problems that we solve for our customers. So at its very core, HireVue is a technology company. We provide tech-enabled solutions to help our customers transform their hiring process. And when we started on this journey 15 years ago, we started providing video interviewing. When we actually first started, we were literally shipping webcams to candidates to complete their video interview. Fortunately, times have changed, and actually now they're completing them via our mobile app or on our desktop. But actually, we're now moving to an appless solution, so candidates can complete a video interview on their mobile's native browser. And today, we are the leading provider of video interviewing, but we came to the realization as we continue to mature that video interviewing isn't the be-all and end-all. It doesn't solve every single problem for our customers. And we're hearing the same things over and over again in the market. Nowadays, the scale of which recruitment teams have to manage is unmanageable. You could be hiring hundreds, thousands of people and have 100 times that many people applying for that position. Knowing who to look for is also becoming increasingly challenging. We're seeing markets change, roles are changing. So how do you know what to look for? It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. The candidate experience is becoming increasingly important as well. You can no longer expect candidates to sit through an hour-long psychometric test, then round after round of interviews. And you've also got to think about the candidates who don't get the job. For a lot of companies, the candidate is your consumer. You've got to think about designing for the disappointed. 99% of people will not get the job. You've got to make sure they leave with a positive experience of your brand. And then finally, you've got to think about bias. This is really the hot topic when it comes to almost anything that's being discussed today is, are we bringing bias into the process? Are we promoting diversity? And so how we approach this at HireVue is through the inclusion of HighView Assessments into that interview process. So these come in two different flavors. We have our interview assessments, which when a candidate completes a structured interview with competency-based questions we've identified through a job analysis. But then in the back end, we're applying natural language processing. We're using machine learning to actually score that candidate. Based on what they have said, we're cross-referencing that against lexicons and databases to understand the deeper meaning behind that candidate's ability, their skills, and their experience. We're also providing game-based assessments to look at things like cognitive ability and emotional intelligence, so job-relevant characteristics. But we're assessing them in a more engaging and more immersive manner. We're not talking about play a first-person shooter and we'll tell you if you're a good accountant or not. There's traditional psychometrics you added subtle gamification to make them more engaging, more immersive for that individual. So you combine these two different modalities, you produce a score for that individual, and that allows recruiters to know who they should be spending their time on. It's no longer a case of first in, first out, it's best in, first out. So that actually, as recruiters, can be reviewing those individuals who have the highest likelihood of success. Then the idea is this is all delivered via a single experience for that candidate. So in one go, less than 30 minutes, they can complete a number of video questions, a game-based challenge or two, maybe if they're going for a software developer role, a coding challenge. Then at the end of that experience, they get a report on how they've done, insights report. Where are their strengths? Where are their development areas? So we're not asking that much of them, yet they're taking something positive from this experience. They're learning something about themselves and knowing how they can grow and improve. And from a recruiter perspective, it's one place to work from. All this information about your candidates is stored in one place, so they can be more efficient and more effective with their time. This then allows these organizations to transform their hiring process. Rather than relying on this traditional multi-step approach, which is really time-intensive for both the candidate and the recruitment team, they can compress that. You can condense multiple steps into a single part of the experience. So that HighView assessment piece can now take care of the phone screen. That initial competency-based interview and the psychometrics can all be delivered in one step. So you're fast-tracking that top-quality talent through your funnel before your competition gets to them. Something that's really important to talk about, I think, around anytime you're invoking algorithms or scoring models is how you approach bias in that. And actually, applying the algorithmic approach to a video interview has a number of significant advantages over the human evaluator. So a human evaluator is bringing their own cognitive biases. Oh, I like their tie. They smiled a lot. They have the same watch that I have. but actually, none of these have any impact on performance. But when you're applying a scoring model, you can actually backtrack, okay, what's the relationship between every single thing we're looking for on the outcome we're trying to predict? So you're only assessing people on what is relevant for the role. It's also consistent in how it assesses people. It doesn't matter how much it slept last night, if it's had lunch or not, if the person next door to them is annoying them and being loud. It's going to assess everyone in the same consistent manner. So that means that your recruiters, when they have that data, they know that this is objective and has been applied consistently across all these individuals, and they can make smarter, more informed decisions. We can also then go through the process of running adverse impact testing and mitigation. So if we see actually, hey, the scoring model is unfairly impacting a certain gender, a certain age, a certain ethnicity, then actually we can identify the cause of that and take it out of the model. And you do this as many times as is necessary until you're left with something that is not only scientifically valid, but actually is legally and ethically fair. Now where we're going, where we're moving towards is an approach we call modular assessments. So traditionally, we'd build out a number of interview questions, we'd identify some games for you, and you have to go through this lengthy process of having hundreds of individuals at your organization complete the assessment so we could build out that scoring model. And this is really time and resource intensive. But what we realize is, hey, we keep building models for the same competencies over and over again. They keep coming up as important to the current workplace. Problem solving, team orientation, willingness to learn. Why are we building these models from scratch each and every time? So what we went into our database, we identified, hey, here's thousands of interviews of candidates responding to questions relating to each of these competencies. Why don't we extract that, take on a diverse demographic, a diverse sample, and train scoring models to predict those certain competencies. And what it means is we end up with something like this. We use this analogy of Lego bricks, because each individual brick is a competency model attached to a certain set of questions. But what we do is when we run our job analysis and identify the competencies required for a given job, we piece it together to build a model that could be totally new, totally custom, totally bespoke to that role in that organization. So you have the feel of something that's tailored. It's only focusing on the competencies that are likely to predict success. But actually, you're able to go with the speed of something that's off the shelf. We can go live with these assessments in 6 to 8 weeks. Something that's becoming increasingly important, I think we'll continue to see happening as artificial intelligence and data analytics become increasingly prevalent, is the focus on the security and reliability of your data structure. So we, for example, are one of the few HR tech providers that is FedRAMP authorized, meaning we've met the standards required to work with the US federal government. And it's also important to consider the ethical application of AI. How actually are you providing this information to candidates? What are you assessing them on? Are you being transparent about what you're looking at? And this is something that at HireVue we're really holding ourselves to, both internally, but also really trying to push the envelope so that externally there are standards that we as an industry can grow and adhere to. So that is HireVue in a nutshell. We're looking at scientifically validated assessments, AI-driven, and able to go live in as little as 6 to 8 weeks. Thanks very much.